Imagine a boy so poor that his only job is wiping dust from car windows under the scorching Lagos sun. Yet every morning, he wakes with a smile, not for himself, but for his dying mother. This is the story of Chidi, a 13-year-old boy whose kindness would unlock a mystery no one expected. What happened next will leave you speechless. Stay tuned as we dive into this powerful story. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and give this story a thumbs up. The morning sun blazed over the busy junction at Ojuelegba. Car horns screamed. Hawkers shouted prices for pure water and plantain chips. Smoke from Danfo buses choked the air. In the middle of it all stood Chidi, barefoot, clutching a torn rag and a plastic bottle filled with soapy water. He moved quickly between cars when the traffic light turned red. Wipe, wipe, smile. Some drivers waved him away. Others pressed coins into his dusty palm. Chidi never complained. He simply nodded and said, "Thank you, sir. God bless you." By noon, his shirt clung to his back with sweat. His stomach growled. But he kept working, because every naira counted. Across the road, beneath the shadow of a cracked flyover, sat a blind beggar. His bowl was empty. Flies buzzed around his face. People passed without looking. Chidi finished wiping the last car before the light changed. He counted his coins. 50 naira. Not much, but enough for one sachet of pure water and maybe a small loaf of bread. He looked at the beggar again. The man's lips moved silently, as if praying to an empty sky. Chidi walked over and knelt beside him. He placed 20 naira into the man's bowl. The beggar's head turned toward him, surprised. "God bless you, my son," the old man whispered. "You have a kind heart." Chidi smiled softly. "My mother taught me to share, even when we have little." As he stood to leave, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb. The tinted window rolled down slowly. Inside sat a man in torn, dusty clothes. His face was weathered, his eyes sharp and watching. The man stayed at Chidi for a long moment. Then the window rolled back up, and the SUV drove away. Chidi frowned. Something about that moment felt strange. But he shook it off and continued his day. Later that afternoon, as the sun dipped lower and painted the sky orange, Chidi packed his rag and bottle. He had earned 130 naira today. Not enough for his mother's medicine, but it was a start. He walked along the dusty road toward the bus stop. That's when he saw him again. The same man from the SUV, now sitting alone under the flyover. His clothes were ragged. His briefcase was torn at the edges. No one stopped to help him. Chidi hesitated. He was tired, hungry. His mother was waiting. But something pulled him forward. He approached the man carefully. "Sir, are you okay?" The man looked up. His face was lined with age and exhaustion. "I am fine, boy. Just resting." Chidi noticed the man's dusty shoes. Without asking, he knelt down, pulled out his rag, and began cleaning them. The man watched in silence. When Chidi finished, he handed him the last piece of bread from his pocket. "Why do you help me?" the man asked softly. Chidi smiled. "Because one day, someone will help me too." The man's eyes glistened. He reached into his torn briefcase and pulled out nothing. Then he looked at Chidi with a strange intensity. "Would you still help me?" he asked slowly, "if I could never repay you?" Chidi didn't hesitate. "Yes, sir. Helping doesn't need payment." The man smiled, but it was not an ordinary smile. It was the smile of someone who had been searching for something and finally found it. "Then your kindness," the man said, rising to his feet, "will find you again." Before Chidi could reply, the man turned and disappeared into the crowd of evening commuters. Chidi stood there, confused, watching the spot where the man had been. The air felt different, heavy, like something had shifted. He shook his head and began his long walk home. His mother would be worried. But as he walked, he couldn't shake the feeling that the old man's words meant more than he understood. Kindness will find you again. What did that mean? Little did Chidi know, his life was about to change in ways he could never imagine. Chidi's home was a single room in a crowded compound in Mushin. The roof leaked when it rained. The walls were stained with mold. But it was home. He pushed open the wooden door and found his mother lying on a thin mattress, her breathing shallow and uneven. Her name was Mama Chidi, and she had been sick for months. Malaria, the clinic said, but there was no money for proper treatment. Chidi, she whispered, her voice weak. You're back. He knelt beside her and placed a damp cloth on her forehead. Yes, Mama. Rest now. She coughed, her body shaking. Chidi's heart clenched. He counted the coins he had earned. Still not enough. That night, he knelt by the window and prayed. God, if you can hear me, please help my mother. I will do anything. Silence answered him. But just as he was about to lie down, he heard a soft knock on the door. He opened it cautiously. No one was there. Only the dark, empty corridor. But on the ground, just outside the door, lay a small torn card. Chidi picked it up. It read, Adiwale Group. Come to the gate where kindness is tested. Chidi stayed at the card under the dim light of a kerosene lamp. The words were printed in gold ink. The edges were rough, as if torn from something larger. He turned it over. On the back, an address was scribbled in pen, Victoria Island. His heart raced. Victoria Island was where the rich people lived. Big houses, expensive cars, guarded gates. Why would someone leave this for him? He looked at his mother, still asleep, her chest rising and falling slowly. Maybe, just maybe, this was the miracle he had prayed for. The next morning, before the sun fully rose, Chidi left the house with the card in his pocket. He took a Danfo to CMS, then another to 6. The journey cost him nearly all his savings. When he finally arrived at the address, his breath caught. Before him stood a towering glass building with the words Adiwale Group gleaming in silver letters above the entrance. 2 security guards stood at the gate, arms crossed, faces stern. Chidi approached slowly, clutching the card. Please, sir, I was told to come here. The guards looked at him and laughed. Small boy, one guard said, grinning. You think the billionaire will give you job? Look at yourself. Go back to where you came from. The other guard waved him off. This is not a place for street children. Move before we call police. Chidi's face burned with shame. But he didn't move. He held up the card. Someone gave me this. Please, I just want to speak to someone inside. The guards didn't even look at the card. We don't know anything about that. Now go. Chidi stood there, frozen. His mother's face flashed in his mind. Her cough. Her pain. He couldn't give up. Not now. As he turned to leave, a voice whispered behind him. If you really mean it, wait till nightfall. Someone will come. Chidi spun around. A cleaner in a faded uniform stood near the gate, sweeping the pavement. She didn't look at him directly, but her words were clear. Wait, Chidi asked. She nodded once, then walked away, disappearing into the compound. Chidi looked at the sky. The sun was still high. Nightfall was hours away, but he had nowhere else to go. So he sat down on the pavement, leaned against the wall, and waited. Hours passed. The sun moved across the sky, painting the city in shades of gold, then pink, then purple. Workers left the building in waves, some glancing at Chidi with pity, others with annoyance. The guards changed shifts. The new ones didn't bother him. They simply ignored him. As darkness fell, the streets grew quieter. Streetlights flickered on. The air turned cool. Chidi's stomach ached with hunger, but he stayed. Then, just as he was beginning to doubt, the side gate creaked open. A man in a janitor's uniform stepped out, carrying a mop and bucket. He stopped when he saw Chidi. You're still here? The man asked, surprised. Chidi nodded. I was told to wait. The janitor studied him for a long moment. Why are you doing this? What do you want? Chidi's voice trembled. My mother is dying. I need work. I need help. This card, someone left it for me. The janitor's expression softened. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small white envelope. No name, just a golden crest stamped on the seal. Take this, the janitor said. But don't open it here. Go somewhere safe. Before Chidi could ask questions, the man turned and disappeared back through the gate. Chidi walked to a nearby bus stop, sat under the dim light, and carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a single piece of paper with one sentence written in elegant handwriting. If you wish to help, start by cleaning what others ignore. Chidi read it 3 times. What did it mean? He looked around. The bus stop was littered with plastic bottles, food wrappers, and dirt. No one cared. People walked past without seeing. Was this the test? Chidi folded the note and put it in his pocket. Then, without hesitation, he began picking up the trash. One bottle, one wrapper, one piece at a time. People stared. Some laughed. One woman muttered, "This boy has gone mad." But Chidi didn't stop. He worked until the bus stop was clean. Then he walked back to the Adiwale group building. The next morning, before dawn, he returned. He found a broom leaning against the gate, as if waiting for him. He took it and began sweeping the front steps of the building. Workers arrived and saw him. Some mocked him. Others ignored him. But Chidi kept sweeping, his hands blistered, his heart hopeful. Then a sleek black car pulled up beside him. The car window lowered. Inside sat a young woman in dark sunglasses, her expression cold and unreadable. "Who told you to do this?" she asked sharply. Chidi stopped sweeping. "A stranger, ma," he said. "Kindness returns." The woman's lips tightened. She studied him for a long moment, then said, "Follow me." Chidi hesitated. "But, my broom." "Leave it," she said. "Now." He obeyed, his heart pounding. The woman stepped out of the car. She was tall, dressed in a crisp white suit. She walked toward the building entrance, and Chidi followed, his bare feet slapping against the polished marble floor. Inside, the lobby was vast. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling. The walls were lined with portraits of important-looking men. The woman pressed the elevator button. The doors slid open with a soft chime. "Get in," she said. Chidi stepped inside. The elevator walls were mirrored. He saw himself, dirty and small, standing next to this elegant woman who smelled of expensive perfume. As the elevator rose, she asked, "What is your name?" "Chidi, ma." "And your mother?" "She is very sick. I need money for her medicine." The woman said nothing. The elevator climbed higher and higher. The elevator stopped at the top floor. The doors opened to reveal a massive office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. But the room was empty. Chidi stepped out cautiously. The woman gestured for him to sit in one of the leather chairs. He sat, feeling out of place. Then a large screen on the wall flickered to life. A voice, deep and calm, filled the room. "You passed the first test." Chidi's eyes widened. Who is speaking?" The woman stood by the window, her back to him. She didn't answer. The voice continued. "You cleaned what others ignored. You waited when others would have left. Now, your final test begins." A slot in the wall opened. A small brown parcel dropped onto the desk. "Take this parcel," the voice said, "to the warehouse of forgotten things. Do not open it. Do not lose it. Your next chance depends on it." The screen went dark. The woman finally turned to face him. She handed him bus fare and a slip of paper with an address. "Go," she said quietly, "and don't fail." Chidi took the parcel, his hands trembling. He nodded and left. The warehouse was on the outskirts of Lagos, near Papa. The area was industrial, filled with rusting containers and abandoned trucks. Chidi had never been here before. He found the warehouse by following the address. The building was old, its walls covered in peeling paint. The door was unlocked. Inside, the air smelled of dust and oil. Rows of shelves held forgotten items. Old radios, broken bicycles, stacks of yellowed newspapers. Chidi walked carefully, holding the parcel close. But as he turned a corner, his foot caught on a loose plank. He stumbled. The parcel flew from his hands and hit the ground. It burst open. Chidi gasped. Inside were dozens of old photographs, scattered across the floor. He knelt and began gathering them quickly. Then he froze. One photograph showed a man in a fine suit, standing in front of the Adiwale group building. The man looked familiar. Chidi's heart raced. He picked up another photo. Same man. Younger. Smiling. Then he found a note tucked among the photos. It read, "Return what was lost to whom it belongs." Chidi's mind spun. Who did these belong to? And why did the man in the photos look exactly like the ragged old man he had helped days ago? Chidi spent the next day searching. He carried the photos to markets, bus parks, and street corners, asking anyone who would listen. "Do you know this man?" he asked again and again. Most people shook their heads. Some laughed. One woman said, "That looks like a ghost." But finally, at a photo vendor's stall in Yaba, an old man squinted at the image and gasped. "That's Mr. Adiwale," he exclaimed. "The richest man in Lagos. But he vanished months ago. People say he went mad or died." Chidi's hands shook. The ragged man. The torn briefcase. The strange words. It was him. Chidi ran back to the Adiwale Group building, clutching the photos. But when he arrived, his blood turned cold. The building was dark. The gates were locked. The sign above the entrance was gone. The guards he had spoken to before were nowhere to be seen. It was as if the place had never existed. Chidi stood there, confused and betrayed. Had it all been a trick? As he turned to leave, a car screeched to a stop beside him. The woman from before opened the door urgently. "Get in," she said. "You're being watched." Chidi didn't hesitate. He climbed in, and the car sped away into the night. The car drove for what felt like hours, leaving the city behind. The roads became quieter. Palm trees lined the sides. Finally, they turned into a long driveway leading to a massive mansion surrounded by high walls. Chidi's heart pounded. "Where are we?" The woman didn't answer. She parked the car and let him inside. The mansion was breathtaking. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, portraits of the same man, Mr. Adiwale, hung everywhere. Chidi felt like he was walking through a dream or trap. The woman stopped in front of a large wooden door. She knocked twice, then pushed it open. Inside was a dark hall. Chidi stepped forward cautiously. Then a voice, familiar and warm, called out from the shadows. "You came, even when you thought it was hopeless." The lights rose slowly, and there, standing in the center of the room, was the ragged old man. But he was no longer ragged. He wore a fine gray suit. His shoes gleamed. His face, though lined with age, was calm and kind. Chidi's mouth fell open. Yo. The man smiled. "Yes, Chidi, I am Mr. Adiwale, and I have been waiting for you." Mr. Adiwale stepped forward, his eyes glistening with emotion. "I wanted to see if kindness still exists when the world gives you nothing." Chidi's voice trembled. You tested me." "Yes," the man said gently. "I was once like you. Poor, hungry, desperate. A stranger helped me when no one else would. He asked for nothing in return. That kindness changed my life. So I vowed to find others with the same heart." Tears rolled down Chidi's cheeks. "My mother, she's dying." Mr. Adiwale placed a hand on his shoulder. "She is already healed. I paid for her treatment the moment you helped me on the street. She is in the hospital now, resting, waiting for you." Chidi collapsed to his knees, sobbing. Thank you. But Mr. Adiwale wasn't finished. He handed Chidi an envelope. Inside was a check and a letter. "This is for you," he said. "Use it to build something that helps others the way you helped me." Years later, Chidi stood in front of a clinic he had built for sick mothers and their children. Above the door, a sign read, "The Adiwale Foundation for Kindness." He whispered the words his benefactor once told him. Kindness is never wasted. It only waits to return. Moral of the story: true wealth is not measured in money, but in the kindness we give when we have nothing left to offer. Help others without expecting reward, and life will reward you in ways you cannot imagine. Goodness, though overlooked, never goes unnoticed forever. We hope you enjoyed this story. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Another powerful story is coming soon. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and share with your loved ones. Thank you for watching. God bless you.